Rebecca, how did you find carnivore?
So I'm going to actually go back further than I've gone for I think for other people. So back in 2013, wasn't even it was actually even that's when I was diagnosed. So sooner than that, I was trying to do I was obese. It was back in like 2011, 2012, and I was trying to do a lot of they watch your calories and um exercise more. So eat less, exercise more. And I wasn't losing weight. And my doctor's like, well, you did 4 pounds in a month. That's really good. And I was like, yes, but let me show you what I'm doing. And that's when all the pieces started kind of falling into place. I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism. And I also had started to have some joint pain and fatigue and different things like that. Um, Come 2013, we had moved to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and I was on pain management. I had high blood pressure. I was on antidepressants. I was obese and anxiety meds, and I was in so much pain. And I was trying to figure out like what was going on. And that's when they started doing a lot more testing and finding out that I had autoimmune issues. And so for a long time, there was really nothing that they could do. So I was diagnosed with Sjogren's syndrome. And then a little bit later, about when we moved up north, I found out from Johns Hopkins that I actually had Hashimoto's as well. So it was about 2018, and my parents had moved in with us. And, I was still on all these medications. And once my parents moved out, I was so exhausted. I couldn't hardly get out of bed in the morning. And my husband is active duty Army. And he was like, babe, you got to get out of bed and get the kids up. You've got to get them out to school because I can't do this. Like you need to be able to get them off to school so I can go do my job. And it was just the fatigue was crushing, and I was very overweight. I was at my heaviest. I was up to 203 pounds, and I was just fit to be tied, and I just didn't know where to go. And my brother, who also has autoimmune issues, was like, "Hey, Rebecca, I started this diet. It's called the Keto Diet, and it's supposed to help with autoimmune issues." He's like, "I think you should try it as well," because at the time there was, other than replacing my thyroid, there was no treatment for my autoimmune diseases. And I was like, "Okay, I'm going to do this." So I went full out and like jumped head first. I was like, I'm not even going to do a cheat day. Like a lot of people still did cheat days, and it was very dirty keto, seed oils, and if it fits your macros and things of that nature. So slowly I started to discover more clean options. But in this time, I will say that on dirty keto, I did lose weight and feel better and got off of a lot of medications. But I still had intermittent joint pain and still had some of the fatigue. And my thyroid wasn't getting any better. And so I slowly found different people. Like I found Maria Emmerich and just other people online, and started pulling out the dirty in the keto, and went to whole foods and very clean, less fat bombs, more whole foods. And um, did pretty well for a while until we moved. A lot of stress hit my life out in, we moved to Washington State during the middle of COVID, and like in the middle of COVID lockdown and everything. And it was really, really hard. And my stress level was through the roof, and sort of a lot of my flares started coming back, and I started to even self-medicate with alcohol, because alcohol was still keto, right? um, so I ended up finding Dr. Ken Berry and Nisha, and ended up like joining their community in December of 2022. And in January of 2023, they ran the BBB&E challenge. And I was like, well, I'm almost carnivore anyway because I've found so many vegetables that make me sick. Why not just bite the bullet? And I did. And that's sort of when when carnivore kicked off for me. And through that elimination, I was able to find the foods that were triggering me. And there were some that were super shocking, like chicken. Like I can't have chicken because of joint pain and fatigue. And then I always get a cystic pimple right here every time I eat a piece of like chicken that has the skin on it. It seems like chicken breast might doesn't do it. It seems like it has to do with the skin. And I've heard of people talking about the toxins in the skin of like store bought chicken versus pasture raised. So that's really kind of how I came to carnivore and and kind of the healing it's brought me
You started kind of beginning 2023.
for carnivore itself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so you'd already had some healing through keto, but like what
Yes.
were the things that made you realize like, oh, okay, I've hit the jackpot now. This is it.
I think just the increased energy, and it was really weird because my blood pressure, even though I wasn't considered hypertensive anymore, my blood pressure would stay in the 120s, 130s. And within maybe 2 months of starting carnivore, all of a sudden I'm like, man, I feel a little weird. But what is going on? It had dropped my blood pressure into like the 100 range, 100, one teens range. And it's been there really ever since, unless I'm really stressed out. So it's, really helped with regulating blood pressure, even though it wasn't really high, but it was like, it's interesting how it can improve even more.
And with that energy,
Mhm.
I guess that's improved things like, as a parent myself, I can understand your
Yeah.
situation with you and your husband trying to juggle getting the kids ready and working and all that kind of thing. Um,
Yeah.
those situations where you were fatigued, that's gone.
Yes, it is. And so what's really cool, and now I'm not going to say I'm 100% healed because autoimmune takes a really long time and my antibodies are still high to my thyroid, but my C-reactive protein has gone from like systemic inflammation levels to below 2 because it was in the 60s. I got it to the 17s with like carnivore. And then recently when I retested, I had dropped it back even further to below 2. It was like 1.79. And so with that, it's interesting because I can get up in the morning and I get up super early now. So we're up at like 5:30. Um, if my body will let me sleep that long. And then I don't start getting tired until maybe around 8 is when my body's like, okay, maybe it's time to wind down. And that's a big change. I mean, at my worst, I remember when the kids were maybe around 7 or 8 years old. Just remember laying on the couch and watching my husband come home from a 12-hour workday and him coming and fixing dinner in the kitchen. And our kitchen and living room were kind of attached. It was like an open floor plan. And I just laid there and I couldn't hardly move. And I was just tears rolling down my face because I was so upset that he was doing my job. And it's really difficult even thinking about those times. But it just reminds me of like how far I've come. And, it's like now I don't have those unless now I did have that when we all got COVID and we all got we all flatlined for a little while. But it's interesting because unless we're really sick, I don't feel that. I feel normal every day, like, oh, well, it's probably time to get tired. And if there's certain foods that if I eat, I might get a little fatigued after eating if I eat certain foods. Um, So that's why I have to, watch what I'm putting in, and I have to still put two and two together. Like even pork rinds can sometimes like bother my stomach now. So it's like, there's a lot of things, but the energy is so much better. I get to go to my son runs cross country. I get to go to his stuff, and I actually drop them off and pick them up after school. Um, I just until recently I was working. I just quit my day job because I've got a lot of irons in the fire. So I'm also back in school. So I'm a productive member of society. Back in school, hoping to be a low carb medical provider uh, that's low carb friendly, and people can come to me when they're like, "My doctor doesn't understand." Well, I will understand. So that's the goal.
That's awesome. I feel like when you've got plans like that and when you're doing things like that, that's
Hmm.
one of the best things about this way of eating. Like
Yeah.
in the kind of before times, when you're so fatigued and you just can't focus on anything or do anything.
Mhm.
Um, it's really, really depressing because
Absolutely.
you've got nothing to hold on to, like, there's nothing I'm working towards, so
Yeah.
what's happening, I'm just surviving day to day, right?
You feel so defeated. It's it's absolutely being defeated, and I have an education, and I wanted to use that education as a nurse because I'm a nurse by trade, and it's like I couldn't do it because I was just too tired. How am I supposed to hold down a job when I can't hardly get off the couch to get like feed my kids? And you know now it is a blessing because I can get up and do things and take care of my family and go to school and volunteer with because I volunteer with Healing Humanity. I'm the assistant production manager for the documentary. So I'm doing that. I'm able to do these things, and I'm a volunteer coach in Dr. Barry's community now, and it's yeah. So it's like I have all the energy to do these things. I will say it's a little crazy now because I think I've developed some brain ADHD because I'm like, I don't know what to do. What should I do next? It's like staying focused has been a little bit more difficult because now I have it's like I didn't know I could have energy to do this. So,
Yeah, I'm just trying to imagine what your to-do list must be like each day.
oh, it's so fun. And I'm getting ready to start off on a new venture with a friend of mine too.
Wow. And so what's the goal with the study?
So I am in school right now to get my master's of science in nursing to become a family nurse practitioner. So my goal is I really am fascinated with endocrinology because most of my issues stem from my thyroid. So I'm really fascinated with the endocrine system, including thyroid problems, diabetes, hormone replacement. You know, all of that is so important, and a lot of people don't realize how important that is. And I've been gaslit so much by physicians for my own thyroid issues that I'm like, I can do it better. So that's my goal. My goal is to be better.
So how has your husband reacted to this? Is he joining you?
Yes, he is actually. So it's our whole family is on uh, a proper human diet. So we are all on some form of a low carbohydrate diet. My son is the most lax, I will say, but his story is pretty fascinating, and it is in here. Our story is actually in this, um, and it talks about him because he didn't hit puberty on time, and he was obese, and everything was kind of going wrong. So that's our family. So both of our kids are high functioning autism, and he was overweight and obese, and we got him on board. And he within like 5 months he hit puberty, like because he was delayed, and then within 5 months like hit puberty. And he's a really picky eater, so he literally to this day still eats a pound of bacon for breakfast, He eats a modified PB&J sandwich for lunch. He eats about 3 pounds of chicken thighs for dinner. And for snacks, he'll either have like part of a keto brick or he'll eat some nuts or something like that. So stays very narrowed. My daughter is more ketovore and she's doing it to heal like mental health issues. And she's doing very good. We have a ways to go, but she's doing really good. My husband, since he's military, it's been very difficult for him because when he's out in the field, he is eating the MREs, the meals ready to eat. And they are, if you look at the package, it says that there's like no real food in this package. It's really interesting. Um, so the most recent thing that happened is pretty cool was he had been on hormone replacement therapy. So he was 38 years old. He was like, man, I'm really fatigued. I don't know what to do. So he went to he went and got his testosterone checked by the army, and they're like, your testosterone is 308. It's fine. It's like 308 for a 38-year-old male is horrible. And they were like, it's normal. You're fine. So he went to a men's health clinic and started on hormone replacement therapy. Well, it drove his blood pressure up. He is one of those very rare people that it drove it up. And so he came off of it at the beginning of summer, ate really crappy in June and parts of July, went on a carnivore diet. And this is after he stopped hormone replacement therapy. And he recently just got his testosterone checked and it was still in the 500s. So his body has started like upping his testosterone, which is amazing because some people go up 50 points on carnivore, but his seems to want to stay in the 500s, which is really good.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, it
Um,
is.
so as far as your extended family or the friends around
Yeah.
you, they're probably seeing, you know, someone who's constantly busy. You've got so many projects going on,
Mhm.
and also, you know, of course, the eating style. Has
Mhm.
anyone given you any feedback?
I mean, I still get the you're crazy looks. Uh, at my recent place of work, I was sitting there and they knew that I was low carb when I came in because I'm not shy about it. I'm almost as bad as a vegan. I just want to say that. I'm almost that bad. Like I do low carb, just letting you know. Like they're like, "Oh, do you want a donut?" No, thank you. I don't eat sugar. Um, so it's like I let them know. Uh, but I was in there and I was like, I had my beef patties and my boiled eggs, and then I had half a stick of butter. And I'm sitting there with a fork. And I was like, I don't want the eggs right now. I don't want the beef patties. I just stuck my fork in the butter and I just started eating it. And they were like, oh my God, are you really just eating butter right now? And I'm like, yes, yes, I am. It's good for you. Phospholipid bilayer that every cell in your body is made out of. You need that. You need that cholesterol, you know, and, they think I'm crazy, but it's okay because I probably am crazy a little bit. So it's okay.
Yeah, I think, that it's interesting with most people, you know, they'll give the steak or the hamburger or the eggs a pass, but then when they see you eating
Yep.
a whole stick of butter, it's just like, "This is too
I
much." You
will say I
just
can't eat a whole stick. I can't eat a whole stick. That's too much. I can put down a half a stick.
wow. I mean, I'm also impressed. Yeah, I can't, I can only have little bits or I'm in a bit of trouble. But, yeah. Oh, nice. So day to day, how many times are
Mhm.
you eating and what are the meals, basically?
So it's changed. I was doing some intermittent fasting and my thyroid was low, like really low. And I was able to do intermittent fasting because my metabolism was very slow at the time. And I finally got the doctor to listen to me and they upped my dosage. Um, and it swung me a little bit high. So lately, I've just been ravenously hungry, which, like, instead of eating maybe 1 or 2 meals a day, like, I really want 2.5 to 3 meals. And that's a big deal for me because usually I could get by on eating OMAD and a snack and be good. But now I'm eating about 2.5 meals on average, and I've shifted my eating to be towards the beginning of the day because I'm trying to reduce my cortisol. So it's usually 3 or 4 scrambled eggs with about 3 tablespoons of really cold butter for breakfast. And then usually, no joke, I use Kelly Hogan's meat cookies. Like I just get the frozen patties from Walmart, throw them in an air fryer, and I'll eat maybe 3 of those. I do eat some Chosen Foods mayo because I like it. Avocado doesn't bother me, so I do the avocado oil, and um, I might have occasional cheese. It depends on the cheese. Certain cheeses I can't tolerate. Um, so you just have to be careful with that. I was doing pork rinds every now and then, but I had to pull those back because I figured out that they were starting to give me stomach cramping. So I was like, well, there's that gone too. A creature of habit. I'm not one of these people that needs to have all the variety. These people that complain like, oh, it's so boring. I'm like, I can handle boring. Yes, I love steak every now and then. That's great. But I can eat this same thing every day and be fine.
Yeah, I can understand that. I'm exactly the same. It's like I'm happy just doing the same thing all the time. Just give me the same food. And
Yeah,
at the end of the day, I think that is kind of how we're meant to be.
I think
There's
so.
no other species out there that's going, "Oh, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this food every single day," you know? There's no
Right?
giraffes going,
Or man,
"These leaves are
that's not
getting on
me.
my nerves."
Or like, man, I gotta find a different way to prepare this leaf. Like, it's like I mean, I get it because of the culture we've come up in, and I mean, people have been preparing elaborate meals for thousands of years, even going back, into pre, pre Jesus, in Israelites and their feasts that was feasting, and they did all kinds of stuff. And, Middle Eastern food is all crazy. And Egyptians would make huge banquets with all these prepared things. And it's just the culture we've grown up in. Everything centers around food, and everybody's trying to outdo the next thing and make. That's why we have all these cooking shows that are like elaborate. What can you do with, what's that? What was that show where it's like you get a basket full of surprises and you just have to make whatever? And it's like,
Yeah, I'm not sure of the
I can't
name.
remember the name of it. I can't remember
Y
the name of it, but it was like you
you
get
just gotta, yeah.
weird stuff and you got to throw it together, you know. But there's something beautiful in simplicity. Like I don't really have to think about what I'm going to eat because I kind of already know. I'm going to throw in a couple burger patties. Like, and I can do that and work. Not going to be like, oh, 2 frozen burger patties, throw some Redmonds on it, hit 10 minutes on the air fryer. And, I know in 10 minutes I'm going to have burgers and I can continue working, and it's super simple. And scrambled eggs, I don't know who doesn't like scrambled eggs, but you're crazy.
And yeah, I mean, that simplicity, there's something so nice about being able to just know that's what I'm eating and it's available
Mhm.
whenever I need it, and it's gonna take 2 minutes to get ready, and I've got the
Yep.
rest of the day to do all the other things I know I need to do.
Yes. Do you know I had a client recently? Um, I hope she doesn't see this. Had a client recently that was like, I can't do this intermittent fasting stuff. It just takes up too much time. And I was like, okay, um, it's supposed to be giving you back time in your life, not taking it. So I don't know how you're doing it. You you just I don't get it. I don't understand how it's taking up your time. It was very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing I can imagine with that is perhaps, at the start, the constant the
ticking of the
constant
clock, maybe?
mindfulness of, yeah, when I'm going to be able to eat, when I'm going to be able to eat, kind of, it's the thoughts are so all consuming, you know.
Maybe, but it's really interesting, so I was at a meetup in Charlotte, North Carolina yesterday, and Kelly Hogan was there, and we were just standing around all talking, and she's like, "People blow my mind because I literally had somebody tell me, well, I didn't know that we could just eat burger patties." And it's like you could do whatever you want. If you want to eat nothing but boiled eggs all day, just eat boiled eggs. It's like, but they were like, I just didn't know I could. It's like you have to almost give them permission in a way to. You want to eat? If do you like burger patties? I love burger patties. Okay, so eat them all day long if that's what you want. And until you're satisfied, and when it stops tasting good, then stop eating. It's like, yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't get
It's
it.
yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
So did you notice any improvements with oral health?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. So, Sjogren's. One of the hallmarks of Sjogren's is dry mouth. I mean, if you don't have enough saliva, then bacteria to wash away the bacteria, like when you're swallowing and things like that, then your teeth start to decay. So, one of the really cool things is that I almost never have plaque on my teeth. The only plaque that I had on my teeth this last time I went to the dentist was I had a permanent retainer that had been put down here after having braces, and they had cemented it too close to my back teeth, and nothing could get down in there to clean it. So my brush wasn't apparently doing it. So they had to clean that out. But other than that, they're like, the rest of your teeth are like amazing. And I'm like, well, I don't eat sugar. I don't eat fruit. I don't drink sodas. And they're like, oh, well, that explains everything. I mean, the dentist was like, yeah, if you don't eat those things, you won't have cavities. And I'm like, this is a dentist. He's like, yep, everything looks great. Um, but I did start using Boca, the toothpaste that has the nana hydroxyapatite in it that is supposed to help remineralize. But I did stop using like mouthwash and things like that too. And I've noticed a big change, believe it or not.
If you were giving someone advice about how to get started, what would you tell them?
Well, well, there's a couple things I tell them. Um, so first off, I would tell people to go to Dr. Barry's uh, website because he has a proper human diet guidebook that is completely free. Absolutely 100% free. They can download it, they can copy it, they can give it to all their friends and family, and he does not care. Actually, he encourages it, and it will help walk you through. So it's a piece of a tangible piece that you can have, and not have to like, oh, where did I see that? No, you can open this piece of paper and look through this packet and be like, oh, yeah, so okay, so I can't have this right here. What I would also tell people if they're going to start going towards a carnivore diet, I would tell them to not jump straight into carnivore, that I would start slowly eliminating things. I would pull out seed oils, processed foods, grains, and sugars, and I would tell them to shop around the perimeter. So you want an animal-based diet. You want to throw in some vegetables, that's fine. The occasional berries, that's fine. But stay away from those inner aisles. Drink drink water. Make sure you're getting enough salt because the guidelines on salt are so wrong. And we just need we just need to go back to eating like a real whole food, one ingredient. If you want to make something with a bunch of ingredients, make it yourself. Type of type of diet. So I'd have people start there and definitely eliminate sodas.
Yeah, that's nice advice. When I go into the supermarket now, everything in those middle aisles just looks like poison to me.
I saw somebody share a birthday cake recently. It was now let me for a cake, it was gorgeous. Like whoever made this was an artist, but just the thought of it kind of made me sick to my stomach. Like somebody was joking about Krispy Kremes recently, and I was like just the thought of them, like I can feel the waxy oils in my mouth. Like it's almost like traumatizing thinking about it. And I was talking to somebody about like the little Debbie Christmas trees cakes, and just like how like waxy and oily, and they didn't even taste good. Like the memory of them is not even good. So it's like they're just toxic. And I think what saddens me the most is that almost every single one of those aisles are marketed to children, and that's to me that's criminal.
Yeah, it's just like get them hooked and get them sick early, and then we've got a
But
customer for life.
but it starts so much earlier. Just look. Oh my gosh, look at what is in our formulas for babies. It is so if you read it, it's you could put it side by side with like a fortified cereal, and it's very similar. It's corn syrup solids and like whey protein and a bunch of like added in crap and soybean oil. And it's just, they're hooked from the beginning. And then you're feeding them the little puff cereal and rice cereal. Like it's
Yeah.
really sad.
Yeah, and the thing is though, most people have no idea because they're not checking the ingredients or anything. They're just hearing from everyone else, "Oh, this is good for your baby." And they think,
Yeah,
"Well, if they're selling it in the baby section of the supermarket, it can't be bad." And
I know.
mm,
Yeah, and well, and recently there's a book by the Nutrition Network. This one, um, there's a study on it, and it talked about babies that are not breastfed are more likely to be autistic. And my children weren't breastfed. And so there was a like I'm wrestling like still as a mom, like did I cause their autism? And but I didn't know. I didn't make anything. I couldn't breastfeed. I did what they told me to do. I did what the medical providers told me was best for my baby and babies, because it's two. And little did I know that it may have been causing their autism. And that's, I think that the people who make the guidelines and tell people what is okay to put in foods for babies and children have a lot to answer for.
yeah, they really do. I think I guess one of the other problems is like you have the system where products or an ingredient is generally recognized as safe.
Say. Mhm.
And it's like generally recognized as safe doesn't mean it's good. There's a
Well, I
difference,
mean,
right?
I mean, even Dr. Berry talks about like better bad options, and it's like, what's the better bad choice? Like, like my son every now and then likes. There's a brand out there, and it's called Schoolyard Snacks, and they make like a cereal type snack, and it's made out of whey protein. Is it the best option on the face of the planet? No. Is it a better option than getting something from Kellogg's or General Mills? Absolutely. Do I think it's okay for my son to every now and then have something like that? Absolutely. But it's like we're marketing these things as okay for breakfast every day. What about that? What about that oatmeal? Like every morning, eat your heart healthy oats. Oh, sorry, it might be spiking your blood sugar, which then spikes your insulin, which then leads to chronic inflammation in your vessels. Oh, hope you love your toes. Oh, you do? Well, sorry, they're gone. You know, I wish that they would put pictures of my dad's foot when he passed away. I wish I could put that picture on every can of Sunkissed that he absolutely loved and every ice cream because that's what he loved. You know, I wish I could put a picture of his foot on everything. So people are like, do you want to look like this? Don't eat this. You know, like there needs to be a warning.
That's actually a really good idea. That's what they did in Australia with the cigarette packets, or they still do. You know, the cigarette
Oh,
packets
really?
have got pictures of, scarred lungs or, all this kind
Ooh,
of thing on it, right, when you're buying them.
that's brilliant.
And
Now here they don't do that. Here they have the big black box warnings that they hang up at all the stores that say this is addictive and may cause cancer. May cause cancer. I'm like, no, it does cause cancer, but okay,
yeah, so, yeah, I really like the idea of putting the pictures of the consequences on the food packets. Yeah.
that would be
Um,
great.
so, Rebecca, how can people reach out to you? Do you have any social media?
I have multiple social media. The at Rebecca Bavery, is that one CPHC? Yeah. So that's where I'm at on YouTube. You can also just look me up by my name. There is only one Rebecca Bavery in the world.
Well, I'll link to all of your socials in the show notes. Rebecca,
Okay.
thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. I'm just glad to have like that you had me on.